Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and this is a video for my friends to see what I've been doing over the last few months. I've kind of sequestered myself away in my workshop, and I've been painting away at some American War of Independence figures, and I wanted to show these figures off because I'm so proud of them. I finally finished all the figures needed for the Battle of Freeman's Farm. And I think I'm short like maybe a couple of different cannons. I think I'm short a light British cannon and the two Brunswick cannons. But other than that, I have every other figure based and mounted and painted, and everything's awesome. So I just basically wanted to go over the different units and kind of show off the paint scheme and the paint job of each unit that I have. What I'm showing you here is the British. That's the British. Right through this area is the British, and this column of troops right here is the Brunswickers. That's Riddersel's Brunswickers. And over here off camera on the left are the Continentals. Let me scan over a little bit so you can kind of see the Continentals. Okay, there, I've scanned over to the Continentals. They look like they're outnumbered, don't they? But you know what? And they're on the attack, and they're outnumbered. So, but it's still a good battle to play. It's very balanced, based on some restrictions that are on the British side. Like the Brunswickers don't show up unless a die roll is made, and they have a lot of their better troops, like their Grenadiers and some artillery, are in a redoubt that will not be released to the player unless certain situations happen. Okay, but that's enough of the scenario. Let's not talk about Freeman's Farm. Let's talk about the figures and their painting. And I do want to kind of go over some of my reference materials. My primary reference material is this book right here, the Uniforms from 1775 to 1783, the American Revolutionary War, an illustrated encyclopedia. This was my primary source. It's full of a great number of photos of all these different units, regimental facings and colors and things like that. This was my primary resource, but it was not my only resource, because I like to look up units in multiple writings and see where their biographies are from, to kind of piece together what the truth is, because a lot of times you don't get the truth out of just one book. Now, I also used, this is a Molo, John Molo, illustrated by Malcolm McGregor. It is the Uniforms of the American Revolution. These illustrated units, they have very few units in here, but really good illustrations, really good patterns and colors, and it gets into some of the battles too. That's what half the book is. And like, these are plates, a lot like Osprey plates, where if you go to the actual plate number, it will kind of explain to you what you're seeing there in the picture. Awesome book. This was my primary resource until I had gotten that other book, the Illustrated Encyclopedia. Thirdly, rarely, I would check Soldiers of the Revolutionary War. Now, Soldiers of the Revolutionary War is an Osprey combined book. I think there's 4 books, maybe 5 books from Osprey are in, like this was Washington's Army 2, this is Washington's Army 1, and then further on you have King George, Armies of King George. You know, there are color plates. A lot of good background information, a lot of good information about the regiments and things like this. And it goes into some regiments that I don't field. It also goes into some flags, a lot of stuff. This is a really good book for you history buffs that are curious about reading about the era, but not as great for uniforms. I strongly recommend the Uniforms of the American Revolution, an illustrated encyclopedia. Lastly, but not finally, well, actually it is finally, this is the last resource I used. Well, actually that's not true. I hit the internet a couple of times. But here's a resource. Uniformen, Okay, this is a Lillian and Fred Funkin book. This is actually multiple books combined into a hardback. I have the Napoleonics. I have one of the two-part Napoleonic books in English. Well, and I really love it. I'm a big Napoleonics player, and I used it. I use them exclusively for my Napoleonic armies and painting my Napoleonic figures. But when it came to when I noticed that when I saw this book, I said, "Oh, look, check it out! It's a German version of the same book that I have." Well, that's not true. When I opened it up, I did not realize, but the first half of it, Armies of Frederick the Great, which is like 1700 to 1783 or something like that. I might have my dates mixed up, but it was basically very close to the American War of Independence. So I said, "Awesome!" But the second part of it is I only have the line section of the Napoleonic book. There is a second Napoleonic book that I didn't have, which is in this book. And luckily I know enough German that I can understand unit nomenclatures, parts of the uniform. Plus it's full of pictures, tons of pictures, you know, different units, different photos. This was an awesome reference for my Napoleonics, and I used it a little bit of this for when I was painting my Brunswickers in the American War of Independence. If I was painting some Saxons or something like that, they would also have been in this book, but I'm not. Alright, now let's talk about the units themselves. Alright, these guys right here are my 2nd New Hampshires in their light blue coats, their blue flag. These are my 2nd New Hampshires. Alright, these are my 1st New Hampshires, or my Green Mountain Boys. These guys are dressed in their green coats. Not all of them. Some of them weren't equipped properly. You know, the Continentals had some people out there that weren't completely dressed in the green coats. But these figures are the Green Mountain Boys. These are my 2nd New Yorkers. These guys are actually the 2nd and the 4th New Yorkers mixed in to make one large New York regiment. The 2nd New Yorkers, they're in their, you know, the all blue uniforms. Not all of them. Some guys are, again, they're Continentals. They're not always going to be fully equipped to uniform specs. I believe I got that flag from WarWeb. Awesome place to get military flags for your figures. Now these guys are mounted 6 per base just because of the size of the regiment. Alright, here we go. We got some militiamen. These militia could be from anywhere. They could be from Mass, or they could be from New Hampshire. I'm not exactly sure which, but they are basically just a militia. And of course it says Liberty on his flag. Another WarWeb download. Awesome paint job in my opinion. These guys are great. There's the 1st Virginia. The 1st Virginia were actually equipped with rifled muskets. So these are actually riflemen, where those other ones are all like smoothbore muskets. These guys were actually very accurate, very good marksmen. You notice they do not have a standard because they pretty much operated as a light unit all the time, skirmishers, things like that, and they're dressed in their hunting coats. Alright, here is my 2nd Mass. You'll notice the 2nd Mass has the standard Continental flag, and majority of them are in a Continental blue uniform. The Mass units were, Massachusetts units were well equipped. Massachusetts had a lot of money, and they equipped their soldiers exquisitely. They were also good trained soldiers. Another Mass unit you'll see here is the 8th Mass. You'll notice they're very similar. They have hunting coats, tricorns. You know, a lot of these guys are in hunting coats, but that is the 8th Mass. Alright, now this unit right here is Lee's regiment. Colonel Lee controlled this regiment. They wore brown coats. They have a lot of brown. You'll notice they're brown, but he is carrying the Continental flag. this is a standard continental style unit. It's just that they have round hats. Some of them have round hats, you'll notice, like they almost look like derbies, and brown coats. Alright, this is the light regiment, Dearborn Light Regiment. Now, they are only 12 figures in the unit, but when this unit breaks down into skirmishers, what we do is we remove 2 figure bases and we add these as skirmishers. Okay, so these are, this or this is not on the table at the same time. They are interchangeable, so that when they're skirmishing, they're like this with a command stand, or when they are fighting as a close order unit, then you bring in your companies like that, and you fight as a close order regiment. This light regiment is Dearborn's Light, and they are a New Hampshire regiment. I don't know if you can see that, but they also have a very unique style hat or helmet that they wear. And the last of my Continental regiments are the Canadians. This is the 1st Canadian Regiment. They're dressed in brown, and they have the orange COR, which I believe is a Congress-owned regiment. And these guys are one of my more recently painted units. Very nice looking. Alright, there's also a Continental artillery piece that's on the field. It's supposed to be a grasshopper gun. This is the gun that I have. It's like a 3-pound gun or something like that. And the last thing I want to show you are the Continental generals. We have Benedict Arnold right here, an excellent general for the Continentals before he, becomes a traitor. And then there's Fraser. Nope. Okay, I'm sorry. Learned right here, Poor right there, and Morgan right there. This is the character that you might remember from the movie Patriot. The movie Patriot takes his character from Morgan and a couple of other generals, and they make a combined character that's basically kind of like a superhero. But Morgan is where they draw the majority of the story from, is from Morgan. Alright, now that was the Continentals. Now we're moving on into the British and our allies. And these are American Indians. These are the American Indians that were fighting with the British against the Continentals. American Indians. Alright, this is a British light unit. You notice the green feathers in their round hats. And they don't have the waistcoats. They have the jackets that, are closed in the front. British lights. Now these lights would have been taken from each of the British regiments and formed into a unit like this. Basically they would have became a, what do they call it, a combined light regiment. Alright, and this regiment right here is the 62nd Regiment. This is the 62nd Regiment of, and they have the standard British uniforms, tan pants, buff pants, very nice looking, and then Grenadiers on the end. Alright, this is the 24th Regiment with green facings. Very nice looking. I'm gonna say very nice looking on all my figs, because I think I did an awesome job on every single one of these. If you want to know how I painted my figures, I have a couple of older videos that talk you through how to paint an American War of Independence figure, and how I got them to come out exactly like this with little or no effort. I was able to paint all my Brunswickers in about 5 days. When I show you the Brunswickers, you can kind of calculate that on your own. This is the 20th Regiment. The 20th Regiment, also another yellow-facing British regiment. This one has the white waistcoats and pants and gaiters. Staying with the yellow concept, this is the 9th Regiment. 9th Regiment with their yellow facings. Very nice looking regiment. You can kind of see what they look like. I'm kind of tilting them up because of the lighting. Like this, it's kind of like casting a shadow. So by tilting it up, you can kind of see what kind of quality is on these figures. Alright, here we go. Now this is the 21st. The 21st is a Fusilier regiment, so they're all wearing bearskin caps. Okay, and you can kind of see those bearskins on their heads. Now I'm not an expert painter by any stretch of the imagination. I have been painting for quite some time. I'm going to say probably 30 years I've been painting military figures, but just recently have I started painting in this technique, and I think this technique is the answers to my problems. It allows me to paint figures super fast. Alright, this is the first of 3 Prussian regiments. This is Specht, if I know right. Yep, Specht. That's his regiment. They have the red facings. Very cool looking. Of course, you know, and they're Brunswickers, you know. Alright, this is the second of 3 regiments of Brunswickers, and I remember I did all of them in about 5 days, from start to finish, from bare metal, cutting the flash off, painting them black, gluing them on, well actually gluing them on popsicle sticks, then painting them black, and then painting them, and then taking them off, gluing them on bases, doing the bases, and flocking and rocking the bases. And by doing that, it all took about 5 days. This might be the 6th day. Today's Monday. About 6 days to do, because I just finished my Brunswickers today. That's why I'm filming it. And this is my second of 3 regiments. And this is Retz. His facings are white. And the last regiment is Riedesel, and Riedesel has yellow facings, but he also has Jaegers with him. So this is a Brunswick Jaegers along with the regular line combined to form Riedesel's regiment. And take a look at these guys. Those are the Jaegers back there. And then this would be the Riedesel's troops right there. Alright, this is the British artillery that I've done. I've got the British 4-figure bases and 1 3-figure bases. This is a lighter gun, like a 3-pounder, and these are all 6-pounders. And you can kind of take a look at their paint jobs. I flock with a rock ballast and static grass. Okay, and the last thing I have to show you are the English generals. We got Burgoyne right here. He's the overall unit commander. Burgoyne, Hamilton, Fraser, and Riedesel, the Brunswick ally. And those are all the figures that I've painted for American War of Independence. Alright, well thanks for coming out and checking out this video about me showing you what I've been doing for the last couple of months. And look forward to maybe coming up in July, I'm going to be playing the Freeman's Farm over at a friend's house, and we will videotape it and show you the outcomes of Freeman Farm. And remember guys, whenever you're playing, have fun.